So, hi, we're going to have fun today. And it's such a pleasure for me to share my art self with you. Some people were really surprised that I did art because I guess that doesn't come my um, into my work life um, that much. But I have done art oh, since forever. And it's a big part of my life. It's a big part of um, my sense of well-being and sense of participation in the universe. So it's particularly wonderful for me to share that with you today.
Wow. Okay.
So the name of this reflection is art making as a dialogue with the larger systems, right? But then we have to ask, what do we mean by art making? And what do we mean by larger systems? And both of those things are very hard to define, right? Very hard to talk about because they're not in the realm of the ordinary, the linear, the logical. Both that sense that we know as in focusing of being able to dip into this larger, more personal and more universal at the same time, always surprising experiences of ourselves that we call the implicit. And art is a way of doing that. All kinds of art, dance, writing, visual arts. But today we're going to talk about the art of visual language. To give you a story about what I mean by art. I love making art in the country, and my partner's cousin came to visit, and there was art all over the place on the porch and everywhere. And he said, "Well, I don't get this. What is it? What is this?" You know, asking, "Is it a, what does it represent?" And I said, "Well, it's feelings." And just walk around and look at all of the art that you see and see what feelings come. And he said, "Well, I don't feel anything. It's just, just colors." And I said, "Well, just give it a try." And then we were deep in a conversation, and I hear this voice from the porch saying, "I got it, I got it, I got it." I looked at this piece and I felt it right here. And he was so excited. And I was so excited. He said, it's in my guts, this picture. And I thought that was a wonderful example of what art is. It's something that makes you feel something, and it makes you penetrate a different dimension of experience, right? And we know this from focusing. But it's hard to put into words. It isn't just abstract art that does that. As we know, we've looked at together. Frida has shown us. Well, I guess that was abstract art too, but certainly all of the arts bring us to that place. But all of the arts don't do that for everybody. People will say that's not art because it doesn't do it to them. And it's very, very unique. So I'm going to show you today some of the images that I've painted and just see what does something and what doesn't. And then if it doesn't do something, that just doesn't, it's not a vehicle for you. I have a memory of being a little kid in Brooklyn. And I think I had mentioned to you that I grew up as a very lonely child. There weren't other kids in my neighborhood to play with. And the highlight of my experience was to be given a new box of crayons. And some of you older people will remember the magic of Crayola crayons, 48 colors. And it was just so delicious. But I didn't know what to do with it because I couldn't draw things and I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what to do with the crayons. And I remember copying this little boy in my class had done a flag and a rock, and that was very easy to draw. And I remember drawing flags and rocks over and over again because that was the only thing that I could draw. And as an adult, I wish that child had been freed from feeling like it had to be drawing something in particular. My mind just didn't work that way. And so I make up for it. I carry it forward by giving my inner child lots of opportunities to play with color and form and formlessness and atmosphere that we can make, and loads of art supplies to do that with. So last night I had an open studio and invited people, some of you who live in New York, to come and look at the art and make some art together. And you'll see a little video of the art making a little bit later on. When I grew up and I still had this deep desire to make art, to play. I remember one experience. I was working with watercolors, and this new boyfriend came by who was a Bulgarian sculptor that I had met at the Museum of Modern Art. And he came and looked at what I was doing, and he said, "Oh no, you have to be more courageous." And he put his hand in the palette and he plopped it on the paper and smeared it. And he said, "This is art." And I was so taken aback. I was doing everything very carefully. And I was very charmed by that. And I said, "This, yes, to be more courageous." And I think I've spent 50 years trying to learn to be more courageous in many ways, but in that way as well. And I went to the Feminist Art Institute, which was a wonderful group in New York that exposed us to all kinds of art experiences, and that helped me to be more courageous. So I don't want to take too much of our time here, but I want us to be able to have a dialogue about art, about what it is to have a dialogue with the universe. We think of focusing as having a dialogue with our inner selves. But our inner selves are not contained within our skin, right? Our inner selves go way out into the universe. So we're having a dialogue with our very, very particular, unique selves at that moment, but also with our universal, large, expansive selves that go right out to the universe. So let's just take a breath. And maybe I announced before a couple of you came that I'd love you to get some markers or crayons or pen or whatever it is and paper to have by your computer. And we're going to have an experience of making art together. In the vein of being more courageous, a colleague of mine who is an outrageous artist said, the wonderful thing about being a maker is that you never become timidified. And she was wonderful at making up words, timidified. So let's just have some couple of brief comments about art and dialogue with the universe. And then I'm going to show you some of my images from the opening last night and give you an opportunity to engage in a focusing way with them.
Megs Glidewell. I so identify with the flags and the, what else was stones?
Rock, yes, a rock and a flag.
Yeah, I remember choosing things to copy. And it gave me a comfort. It gave me one of my favorite words is vector. And it's funny, one of the things about doing art, doodling, writing, blah, blah, and focusing is you glump around the universe, and especially with you pick up your purple and the vector, you are a vector.
Are a vector. Yes, yes, yes. Would you say what the word vector means to you, especially for the people who English isn't their first language?
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Oh, I think we lost connection there.
That was kind of a vector that came across, though, wasn't it?
Yes, that's
It's more
right.
of a sound vector.
Right. And what does the word vector mean to you?
Oh, it feels like it's a direction.
Mm.
It's a movement that is felt sense.
Yes, a felt sense movement. That's lovely. Yeah.
I know in computer graphics, the vector I know best. Think of a ray, a light ray, doodling a line or drawing lines across your computer screen. Very narrow, intense band of light or energy. Mostly I know light vectors.
Ah, wonderful.
But it's very directional and very condensed, intense, directional, and absolute surety.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I think I'm going to go right into showing you some images. And I'd like to invite you to come into your body and feel the chair and relax your muscles, all of those things that we do with our attunements, and be in the mode of just seeing what happens. There's no expectations here. It's not about liking or disliking or making something of, just taking in these images and seeing what they do inside. It's allowing the visual language that we're sharing to create an atmosphere, to enter into the sphere of each painting so that it is your environment, and see what that environment feels like to you. The colors that attract you and bring you alive, the ones that make you nervous, the images that challenge you, the images that don't do anything, the ones that relax you. And maybe with your paper and pen, you might write a word or a thought very briefly when one comes to you with some of these images. I had some trouble picking which ones to show you, so I think I have a little bit too much, but we'll see how we go with that. This is the title picture of this opening, and it was one where I was really practicing being bold and free. Just see what it might bring to you. Christine had said that this painting looks to her like a very simple person did it. And I love that, but it might look completely different to you. We're ready for number 3. This is number 4. Just enter into that if that seems right to you. See what it feels like to be in it. Five. 6. 7. 8. 9. I'm curious if you have a name for this one. Let's go back to that last one again. If there's a name that comes to you for this one, just write that down. Or any of them. Okay, we're ready. Okay. Oh, this one is what we made as a group last night. I think we'll wait for the little video. Let's just take a couple of breaths to see what is there after looking at these images, sort of the whole experience of it. Just ask yourself, what did that do? What did that do in me? And of course, always in focusing, whatever comes to you is welcome. Okay, let's have a few minutes to talk about the experience. Yeah, anybody.
Hi, Lynn. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Lynn, for sharing your images. It was great for me to be with them. I think what it did to me is that it broke the pattern.
Broke the pattern.
Like breaking the, what's the word in English when something is the, it's a computer word. That something is.
Algorithm.
Yeah, so it broke the pattern. Something about the light breaking through, light coming through and broke the pattern.
How did it feel to break the pattern?
Actually good. Good, even though very yet unorganized. Not yet harmonized or organized or making a whole, but feels good.
That's very, and focusing does that, right? In general, it sort of breaks the predictable. And it feels disorganized, like, where is everything? I'm used to my logical world, but something feels good about it.
Thank you for that question. What was the question you asked? What does it do for you? Something like that? Is that the question?
What does it do in you? Yeah.
Say it again, Lynn.
What does it do in you?
What does it do in you? Thank you for that question. Lovely.
The words that came up for me, Lynn, I mean, I love the art. The words that came up were movement, flow, depth of color, interbeing, those are the words that came up.
uh,
It was wonderful.
hmm. Thank you, June. Interbeing, that's interesting.
I felt like, Lynn, I was in a storm.
Ah.
I was, when you said to enter it, and the landscapes just kept changing. And I'm really in awe of your art. I mean, you went from being Lynn Preston, the therapist to educator person I know here on the screen, to being like a wow, you are quite an artist.
Thank
You
you.
know, like there's a whole nother you going on here.
Yes, there's a whole other me, and all of us have a whole other us, right? We all have that artist selves that we want to be able to share with each other. I remember after I had done this course in the Feminist Art Institute, doing a workshop called Art as a Right, Not a Privilege. And it was such fun to do that. That was 50 years ago, and I still remember it. But art is not the privilege of what we call talent. It's something that is inherent to all of us that we need to free up. Yes, so thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, hi, Lynn. I love your artwork. You really are pretty amazing. What brought to my mind was a lot about nature. That's what I felt. I felt, the ocean, autumn, war at one point. One of your paintings. One that has view and a lot of red in it, felt like war to me.
Yes.
But I really love the nature piece of it, the ocean, the leaves, all of that came to me. Autumn, and your last one that you did as a group reminded me of the holidays.
Yes. Very playful, energetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that funny? The Lenore, I realized writing down words, the brown in the painting evoked Heather. Heather just popped right out of my head. But nature and Niagara with the big yellow. And yes, I love them. I really, really like them. Except the last one, I liked it, but it made me laugh. The one you said we did, it looked like 1,000 quilts or potholders. A riot. It made me laugh. It was funny. How big was that, by the way? You said we made this. How big was
Yes, let's see. It
of
was
we?
2 18 by 24s taped together, so that it's twice 18 by 24. But I'm not as good at math as I am. What 20? I guess it would be 48 by 18. But let's look at that little video now, Christine, of all of us making it together. There's Dorothy.
That is something else. Really.
Okay. So you have a little image of us making it together. Actually, I love doing art as a community, and it's a wonderful community building experience. And for me, it represents very much what life is. The way that I do it in infinite ways of doing it, is to have everybody make a mark with their whole body and choose an instrument that they want to work with, pastel or markers or crayons. And then everybody does some kind of template, and chooses a place to put their stencils. And then everybody does decides on a background color and paints the whole thing together. We didn't have time, but when there's more time, we do other steps. But people get into really expressing and layering. So you're doing something on top of somebody else's, which is scary. And it's scary when somebody's doing something on top of yours, but it all comes together the way life does, and the way a group does, with these expressions of the individual that make an organismic whole. So let's look at that image of what it makes, the image of the final piece again, Christine, just to look at that as a piece, that this is both the individual and the group.
Mm.
There's a cohesiveness and there's a spirit of that group. And another group would do a completely different piece of art. The comments that you've made so far is it makes you laugh. It's very bold. Okay, so now I want to give you a chance. We can take that away, Christine. I want to give you a chance to do your individual art, and if you want to, take a picture of it and send it to me, and I'll see what it makes all together. That would be very interesting. Okay, you have your pen or pencil or crayons and your paper. Take a couple of breaths. And then without thinking about it, make a gesture. And a gesture is like a line or scribble or writing or anything that comes to you, but without picking up the crayon. So it could be a big gesture or just a line. And put your whole body in it. It might be better to stand up and just make your mark in this world. And when you've made your mark, just look at it. Take it in. And the way you look at it is very, very important. It's not looking at it, evaluating it. Is it good or not good? The way you look at it is the focusing attitude of being interested in it. You gave birth to this mark, and it has a life of its own. Like giving birth to a child, you don't get to say how it is. It might not be what you intended, but it has a life. And look at it with the eyes of interest and almost sacredness, that this came, this mark. And maybe on a separate piece of paper, or even that one, write a word about who it is, like a newborn baby. Who is this? And then almost to take it, the mark, to your ear. Listen. What does it need? What does it say to you? Where does it want to go? And then, when you're really hearing it, make another mark. And it may not be what you heard. It comes from you. It's a dialogue. When you're ready again, look carefully. Turn it different directions. And ask inside, what did that do? That mark. See which side, which way is up. Or are there many ways that could be up? 4 ways that could be up. And again, make another mark. Now, when I say mark, you could color in something. You could write a word or scribble. Anything that comes to you, just let yourself go. See if you could express the mood, the atmosphere, the felt sense that's in you. And let it be whatever it is. Maybe it's frustration. You want to just scribble. Maybe you want to cross it out. Maybe you want to enhance some of the lines. Maybe you are feeling like lines aren't right for you, and then do something other than lines. Try making a big shape. But you're responding to it rather than to my voice. I'm just encouraging you to respond to it, to let it be what it wants to be. And I'm going to give you 2 whole minutes, if Christine could keep time, to just do what feels right. 2 minutes to play, to let your child express whatever is there. That seemed like a very long time to me.
They got an extra 30 seconds, okay.
Oh. Oh, welcome back. If you have your camera turned off, I'd love to see you. So maybe you could turn your camera back on. And what was that like? As you look at the piece now, is there a name for it?
Well, for me, what's really the crux of what you're doing here,
Yes,
to look at it, but not go into evaluating,
right,
but
right.
staying with interest and curiosity.
Yes,
And the only thing, I think maybe it's the wording. I think also the judgments come from inside.
yes,
But then there's still, I think what we are practicing is a choice not to let that take over,
yes, exactly.
and not let that be the first thing, and not let that be the thing while we are creating,
Yes,
and let our interest and curiosity lead what we're doing, and be curious what comes other than judgments.
yes, yes, yes. Very, yes, exactly. Yeah. I remember when I first went to the Feminist Art Institute, and one of the teachers said to me with sort of great compassion and pity, you have to watch it, or someday your painting will hang in a gallery, and people will walk by and say, oh, that's nice. And I thought that I'd love it if my painting hung in a gallery. What would be so terrible about that? From her point of view, to say something, oh, that's very nice, and walk by, would be like hell for her. And that was very inspiring to me. It doesn't have to be, if you make something ugly, ugly is a statement. And it can be very freeing to try to make something ugly, to really express ugliness and see what that is.
Well, the way I hear that is, if it's just nice, it's conforming to something we already accept as whatever.
Yes,
Maybe.
yes, yes, yes. What we want is for it to have a life beyond just the expected, to be surprising. And surprising can be disturbing.
Lynn?
Yeah, please.
I'd be happy to share because I joined your group. This is Liz Baring.
Yeah,
I joined your group very late, and just as you were inviting us to draw, and so I went really very much with my felt sense and got my oil pastels, which are very messy.
oh, great.
And I was surprised what came up with a very rhythmic symbol. And then it was transformed from the lemniscape to Madonna and Child.
Oh, how interesting. Wow.
And I got a whole experience. So thank you. I loved the ability to be so spontaneous and arriving late and being able to feel safe in your group.
Oh, fabulous. Great.
Can we see it? Oh,
Yeah, go ahead, June.
no, we want to see hers, right?
Oh,
great.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really, yes. So please take a picture of your art and send it to me, and it will be so interesting to see how they go together or don't go together.
And something else that came for me, Lynn, is I have different colored paper, and the felt sense said, you don't need white today.
Yes, right.
So I chose a different background color. Anyway, I will send the picture. Thank you for the experience.
the background color is so important both in our lives and in our, in our art. It changes when we change the atmosphere in ourselves, the background color, it changes the whole picture of everything.
Huh. Yeah. So here, one of the things that surprised me
Yeah.
as
Oh,
I
look at
as I
that.
was
Uh,
Megs, as I was drawing, he initially said draw like a direction or a movement. I felt great interest, and as I drew, what turned out fingers and thumb grew, and I found it very interesting. And then you suggested grab a word, so I stepped outside the drawing and stopped drawing it, and it became a rather bossy. The whole emotional tenor changed from drawing it and experiencing it to, and then looking at it, and it just got bossy and overt and squashing me.
Oh,
I felt very squashed by it once I got on the outside of the image,
oh, wow.
which surprised me. That was very surprising to
And
me.
now you have a wonderful image of the bossy part squashing you.
Yeah.
I think of the name bossy. Could that be a name for the image?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I like the way you said to switch it around.
Yes.
Um,
Turn it upside
because
down. Right.
mine was, I'm just feeling the pressure of holiday, moving
Yeah.
forward and what
Put
I
it
need.
right
for
up to the
faith.
screen so we could see it.
There.
Yeah.
And then, when I went this way, of course, it went, and the need of faith, I'm pretty rational still. Like I have to get more emotive, but how you could go backwards or down.
Yeah.
It was, and then with no goal, and I'd really like to do something that could give no goal, Anyway, I love the way you turning it around could enforce it.
Yes, yes. And that very much is a focusing step, is to turn something around and to look at it a different way and to see what it says to you that way.
Yeah.
So the holidays could be a different experience as well.
Yeah.
I noticed how the initial gesture was so freeing.
Mm.
And then when I started looking at it, I had all these other people pleasing voices and experiences that were coming up about how I was going to relate to that.
Mm.
And I didn't, I ended up coming out, I felt myself getting free of something, trying to free myself, and went into these other, I started hearing music versus, just because of the initial gesture. It felt like it was something that was trying to get off the page and become something in a different channel. But anyway, it was a really great exercise. It was very, very freeing. But I notice how art making sometimes for me is, I'm much more attuned to gesture drawings and, not looking at the page.
Yes, that.
Because every single time I start actually looking at the page, all of a sudden I'm like, as Robert was suggesting, evaluating it.
Yes. Yes, you introduced two wonderful processes of listening for the music of it and drawing without looking at the page. Next time we do this, we'll maybe do it next year. We could try that. It was wonderful how you freed yourself by choosing different modalities.
They chose me.
Yes, yes, yes. Right.
I wanted to say that I totally got into the movement of my hand. It's like my hand, I gave my hand permission to have all the choices it wanted without my head. I mean, definitely my head came in, but when I was into my hand, it was more almost childlike and playful and joyful. And it's like I didn't want to stop. I just didn't want to stop. I wanted to keep going. And I used your blue and yellow one, which I kind of labeled Crossroads.
Crossroads.
Yeah, because I saw this yellow crossing each other, two paths. And I put a lot of blue and yellow. I just really responded to those colors and just little bits of green, which are
Me too. Right.
nature.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Can you put yours up to the screen?
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
A lot of energy and life in that. Wow.
Wow. Great.
Dorothy, I think we're cousins.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I think it was I think it was, for me, it was Lynn's initial movement that was so big. Yeah, it evoked that.
Great. Well, I think it's time to go in our breakout rooms and we'll have 15 minutes to share. And we'll come back at 9:30. And
Lynn, can I ask a question?
sure,
Or
sure.
a comment that I'd like to speak on? Hannes talked about all the different associations that she experienced looking at very fast, almost like a slideshow.
Yeah.
And I think so. One of my questions, sometimes in focusing, we get just what are your thoughts on? Sometimes we're looking at the art and we're sometimes sitting still a long absorption of something, and sometimes we experience what Ro was talking about, what she experienced, part of that, different associations, like
Yeah.
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 Your thoughts on that? I often wonder how many pops, zings.
Yeah.
Your
Well,
thought on concentrating in zings.
right. We're entering a level that that doesn't take turns. All the thoughts come at first at the same time, and then we have to sort of line them up when we write them down. It's almost like when I wake up with dreams and I'm trying to translate them into the linear form, and that's Jean's zigzag of taking the implicit and translating it into the explicit, and then there are thoughts and things line up rationally, or at least in rows, and then we go down again to see what it means. Yeah, if you can grasp all those thoughts, it's wonderful. It's like raining thoughts. And, yeah. Right. Okay, see you at 9:30 or 9:32. So how was your breakout room sharing?
Oh, it's great.
She's nodding her head. Let's just hear from
It
you.
was really great. And I think also the share itself is a creative act.
Absolutely, yes.
And in my breakout, there was one person who said she usually doesn't participate in breakouts. And I was just struck by her way of telling the story of what's happening. That in itself was just so beautiful and so creative. And I think naming our experience is also a creative act.
Absolutely. Yes. Naming is such an important part of a focusing process. I was always struck by in the Bible in Genesis that creation came into being by naming the different things, and naming can bring everything. The name is like the handle for all of this. Yeah.
Say something else. I mean, my practice was really to do whatever I need to do, not to get stuck with evaluations and judgments. So I was doing like some drawing, and even as soon as I thought, oh, I like this, I just erased it.
Oh, that's very interesting.
And then just and just to get to that place where, again, the best way I can say it is where it's interesting, but I don't have any, this is great or this is terrible.
Yes, yes.
So that's been, yeah. So thank you for the guidance today.
Yes, yes. I think the question, how does it feel, or what's meaningful here? No, I think you could get stuck with what's meaningful here, but how does it feel inside? It is a wonderful practice of the focusing attitude.
Something came up in my group, which I thought was wonderful, about putting your art, if you want, up on the wall, whether when you feel, this is going along with not being critical and judgmental. Put it up, love it, give it a space. And it's funny, I'm in a room where I have all my grandchildren's art up and I love looking at it. And I'm going to put up what I drew today. Right?
Oh, fabulous. Yes.
Oh,
Take a picture and send it to me first, and then put it up, or put it up and then send it to me.
Can we see it?
No. Oh, well, I'll show you. Here's one that was on my notepad that I'm going to put up because can you see this?
Yeah. Back up a bit.
Yeah.
There's one, but today's was up, and away. Very simple. Outside the box. Yay.
Yeah.
Be outside the box. Right. That's what came up. Anyway.
Yeah.
I like being outside the box.
I want to say, so June, I like what you said about hanging it up. I know I find it when I've had to paint a room, it's been quite a while, but I found I'd often not know quite exactly what color. So I'd get 10 paint swatches in the neighborhood I knew, and I'd hang them up, tape them to the wall. Oh, with the names not showing. Talk about the power of names. Don't tell me it's tangerine, because now I want it. But if I turn it upside down and I'm freed from the word tangerine, and I can just look at the color, I found after, usually 2, definitely by day 3, the color that was right just seemed to come out of the wall like 3D, and the other colors receded. But it took a while. It took 2 or 3 days for my whole viscera, sensorium, to feel the right color come forth. That's why we should have long engagements. Hang them on the wall, hang her on the wall.
Yeah. Lynn, may I ask you something?
Sure. So,
Shashi, I joined the group a little late today, and this was your artwork that you displayed, right?
yes.
I want to know, do you have the feeling what you want to paint, or the feeling develops as you delve into colors, or do you start with an idea, or the idea develops as you work? How does that go?
Yeah, I usually don't have an idea at all. I start with materials, you know, so I might just decide I'm going to start with oil pastels or something. And just the way I sort of led you to just make gestures and then color, and then it develops sort of the same way as focusing, you know, where I ask what's there. And
I named each of the paintings that you showed. I named them as you were showing.
Oh, I would love
And
to hear
I
this.
wonder if other people have the same, it evokes the same feeling in other people. I don't know if they, I don't know, have you ever taken a survey of your stuff, that if it's if it evokes a similar feeling in different people?
I think somewhat similar, but I think each person's communication is different. What do the rest of you think?
There was something interesting that happened in a breakout room that maybe, to me, answer a little bit that question. I was, the first thing that came to me was break the pattern. And then somebody talked about coherence, like looking for coherence, but then realizing that coherence is already here.
Yeah.
And that a way of wanting coherence or looking, or that intention, or kind of can prevent us from seeing the coherence that's already here. At least that's what I got. So I'm still in the unknown with this, but I feel like today what you presented in your work has a way to kind of get us into this place where we can be with this edge, right?
Yes.
I feel like you got me there. I was doing for a while, pointed kind of marks, and I felt like I needed this because of the way I feel about the world. But it felt constraining, and it felt like too small and tight, but I needed this, and so today felt like breaking the pattern, and getting into something different. Let me show you what happened actually. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm understanding more. So this is breaking the pattern.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And this is what came afterwards. I mean, it doesn't have any direct.
Wow.
So
Wow.
there
Beautiful.
is something that changed, like drastically.
Yes, drastically. What is
Yeah.
the second one called?
I don't know yet. Still
Ah.
unknown. Still unknown.
What material, what paint did you work with? What did you work with?
The first one is markers, were markers. Acrylic markers. Actually, they're very interesting if some of you want to try those. Oh, it's upside, it's called Posca.
Yeah, I just got some. I haven't
Uh-huh.
tried it yet.
And the second one is dry pastel.
Dry what?
Dry
Pastel.
pastel.
Dry pastel.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So thank
And
you, Lynn.
Lynn, what paint do you use, Lynn?
I use acrylic paint, and I use a lot of different things, but oil pastels, oil sticks, acrylic paint, different mediums. I'd love to talk more, but it's time for our poem. And this was taken from this quote was taken from a favorite artist of mine quoted it, and Dorothy is going to read it, and Christine will put it in the chat. And we just want to see, how is this like focusing what's being described about art? How is it like your writing? How is it like movement? Okay, Dorothy?
Okay. Art is magic. So say the surrealists. But how is it magic? In the metaphysical development? Or does some final transformation culminate in a magical reality? In truth, the latter is impossible without the former. If creation is not magic, the outcome cannot be magic. To worship the product and ignore its development leads to a dilettantism and reaction. Art cannot result from sophisticated, frivolous, or superficial effects. The significance of a work of art is determined then by the quality of its growth. This involves intangible forces inherent in the process of development. Although these forces are surreal, that is, their nature is something beyond physical reality, they nevertheless depend on a physical carrier. The physical carrier, commonly painting or sculpture,
Do you need hat?
is the medium or the expression of the surreal. Thus, an idea is communicable only when the surreal is converted into material terms. The artist's technical problem is how to transform the material with which she works back into the sphere of the spirit.
Thank you so much, Dorothy.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's put in the chat if you want to read it over, think about it. Okay, see you next week. And Katerina and Charles are going to present for us next week. So we'll see you then. Bye-bye.